Sri Ramakrishnan, the Honorable Speaker of the Kerala Assembly, Sri K.K. Rajesh, Member of Parliament, Sri K. Muralidharan, Member of the Legislative Assembly, Kerala, and Sri Kanhaiya Kumar, who I hope in a few months' time will be a Member of Parliament. So, ladies and gentlemen, the focus in this rather exciting, electrifying session has been on various aspects of students and politics as of now. Therefore, I shall share some very basic thoughts in the next 15 minutes on the way forward. When we think of going forward, we usually look for some guideline or the other, a compass, as it were, to see our direction in going forward. I suggest that we keep the word liberation as the guiding light for our forward pilgrimage into the future. So I'll speak on the 4 frontiers of liberation as relevant to this theme of students and politics. And I hope that young people would pick up these and turn them into programs of action for themselves in their particular stations and situations. The very first frontier I want to flag very briefly is something that has already been touched upon, which is education. My concern here is not so much about the rate of enrollment or even the quality of education, which is abysmally poor. For example, in the national assessment, only 19% of our colleges around the country, about 40,000 colleges, are above par. Only 30% of our universities are above the middle level. So there is a lot to be said in favor of improving quality of education, but that's not what I'm going to do for paucity of time. My main concern this afternoon is that higher education, which is a sector that all of us have come from, is today in a state of serious peril because the culture of free thinking and free expression of thought is being stifled. And our friend Kanhaiya Kumar is a visible, immediate victim of that process. Unfortunately, the existing dispensation is very worried that if young people are allowed to think freely for themselves, there would be a revolution in this country. And therefore, everything is being done, both overtly and covertly, to stifle the culture of liberal education, the soul of which is the discipline to think rationally and freely. And I want to say to you that the greatest atrocity that a political system or a structure of governance can do to a nation is to choke the culture of thinking critically. Examples of societies and countries around the world have proved repeatedly over the decades that wherever governments have sought to stifle freedom of thought, freedom of expression, that society has plummeted. It has destroyed itself. It has plunged into mediocrity. And therefore, I believe that it is an atrocity on the young people of this country to try and choke the spirit of free thinking, rational thinking. A society progresses, a nation progresses only because its people have the courage and the training to think for themselves. Now, the reason why this is being done is that it looks very attractive for some people to have a whole nation fall in line with the dictates issued from some source or the other. There are people who are willing to do all the thinking for you, and all you have to do is to accept the produce that come out of their pockets, and you fall in line. And I want to say this to you, that this is nothing but slavery. And we have to unitedly resist this conspiracy to degrade the country into slavery. So that is one item that we have to keep in mind as we go forward, because go forward we must. Because today the attempt is to anger us here and to prevent us from going forward. We must and we will go forward. We don't need somebody's permission to go forward. It's our birthright to go forward. And as we go forward, we will question, we will dismantle some of these structures of oppression that are today raising their heads in our midst. So that's issue number one. Now let me go to issue number two. You know, you can't really do politics in this country, my young friends, if you don't engage with the issue of religion. Unfortunately, that's the case. And unfortunately, it's becoming increasingly the case. And I'm happy to stand here and address all of you, because my experience with young people over the last 45 years in Delhi and in other parts of the country convinces me that young people like you are now walking away from religion. And I want to congratulate you for doing this, because religion is being used as a medium for preventing you from thinking. But my submission to you this afternoon is that it is not enough for you to walk away from religion. You have to stand and question religion today. It is not enough that you liberate yourself from religion. You have to liberate others from religion. Now, let me be a little specific here. The greatest problem in the domain of religion is the exclusive focus and the total ascendancy of rites and rituals, or in Malayalam, this word has been bandied back and forth so many times in the recent months, Ajarangal. Ajarangal. Now, if you have the slightest idea about religion, you will know that ajarangals, rites and rituals are purely mechanical. There is nothing. There is nothing you need to do with your brain or your heart when you do ajarangal. You only need to be a robot. So what religions have done over the decades, over the centuries, is to condition you, brainwash you into becoming obedient slaves who will not think for themselves, which is good news for certain kinds of political ideologies, because they want people to follow them blindly. We have to say that we shall follow none. Unless you are willing to come and reason with us and convince us that going with you will not land us in the pits. We shall not follow you. So therefore, my friends, the second agenda in going forward is to liberate people from religion. The third agenda is from the field of economics. And my basic submission is this: we have to liberate ourselves and this country from development. We have had too much of development. As a result, we are on the brink of disaster. This country is being ruined with development. We must have the courage to say that we will not play this game anymore. I'll tell you why. You know, references were made to three classic text today, let me make another difference. Dostoevsky has a wonderful novel called Brothers Karamazov, and in that there is a wonderful story, which is a story within the novel. That story is called The Story of the Grand Inquisitor. And the issue, one of the 3 issues discussed in that short story is, can you have, and I would commend this to all politicians, you cannot do politics if you don't understand this. The question is this, please understand it very clearly. Is it possible to have bread and development together? Governments after governments, parties after parties, ideologies after ideologies have maintained dogmatically that you cannot have bread and freedom together. Either you choose bread or you choose freedom. In other words, the sinister face of the development that is being thrust upon us, I'll stop, today is that your freedom is being taken away from you, dangling bread before you. We don't want that bread. We'll keep our freedom. The time has come for us to proclaim from the rooftop that this tom-tomming of development is a sinister project to plunge this country to the depth of unfreedom, of slavery, of destruction. My time is up. I had a couple of other things to say, but it is not necessary to say everything. I can see that, you know, the future of this country is safe in your hands. But before I close, I want to move a memorandum or a resolution. I think we should resolve together unanimously. Nobody is allowed to dissent and disagree. That's freedom of thought. We must resolve unanimously that there should be law in this country that all speakers of legislative assemblies and parliament should be less than 60 years of age. No, there is a reason for it. There's a reason for it. An idea like this, National Students' Parliament, cannot arise in a geriatric mind. So, thank you for being young. And I want to thank all of you for being young. And I want to particularly thank Swami Agnivesh for being young.